When this dying girl prepares to say her final goodbyes, she never imagines her greatest dream will come true. But then, Taylor Swift walks through the door, and the way she responds will leave you in tears. Clara Morgan was just 17 years old when her world changed forever. She had always been full of life, the kind of person who made everything around her feel brighter. She loved music, laughter, and spending time with her friends. But what Clara loved the most was listening to Taylor Swift. Taylor's music wasn't just something Clara enjoyed, it was a part of her. When life felt tough, Taylor's songs reminded her to stay strong and hopeful. Clara lived in a small town called Willowbrook, where everybody knew each other. Her days were filled with fun and excitement. She played basketball with her friends after school and loved singing along to Taylor's songs in her bedroom. Her favorite song was "Shake It Off," and whenever things didn't go her way, she'd hum the tune and smile. Her bedroom was like a shrine to Taylor Swift. Posters covered the walls, and her shelves were stacked with albums and souvenirs. Every morning, Clara would wake up, glance at her favorite poster, and feel inspired. Taylor's lyrics were like little pieces of advice that made Clara feel understood, even when no one else could. But one day, everything changed. It started as a sharp pain in her leg during basketball practice. Clara thought it was just a minor injury. After all, she was young, healthy, and full of energy. She brushed it off, thinking she could rest and be fine in a few days. But the pain didn't go away. In fact, it got worse. Clara's parents noticed her limping and decided it was time to see the doctor. They thought it would be a quick visit, but instead, their hearts broke as they heard the diagnosis. Clara had osteosarcoma, a rare and aggressive cancer that attacks the bones. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Clara's parents held her hands tightly, trying to stay strong. But they couldn't hide the tears in their eyes. How can this be happening? Clara thought. I'm just a kid. I have so much I want to do. The news was a heavy weight on her heart. The treatments started. Right away, Clara had to go through weeks of chemotherapy. The hospital became her second home. She missed playing basketball, hanging out with friends, and singing her favorite Taylor Swift songs at the top of her lungs. Instead, her days were filled with hospital beds, nurses, and medicine that made her feel sick and weak. As the treatments continued, Clara's body began to change. Her hair started to fall out, and she lost a lot of weight. She could no longer run, jump, or play like she used to. Even simple things, like walking to the kitchen, became exhausting. Despite all of this, Clara didn't let cancer take away her spirit. When her friends came to visit, she would smile and crack jokes, trying to make them laugh even though she was hurting inside. Through all the hard times, there was one thing that never left Clara's side: Taylor Swift's music. Her songs became a source of strength for Clara. When the pain felt too much, she'd close her eyes, put on her headphones, and let Taylor's words carry her away. Songs like "You Are in Love" and "The Archer" reminded her that she wasn't alone in her struggles. The lyrics spoke to her heart, giving her the courage to face each day. As months went by, the doctors realized that the treatments weren't working as they had hoped. The cancer was spreading, and there was nothing more they could do to stop it. Clara's parents had to face the hardest truth of all. Their daughter didn't have much time left. Clara knew her time was running out, but she wasn't ready to give up. There was one dream she held on to with all her heart: meeting Taylor Swift. Every time her friends visited, Clara would tell them, "If I could just meet her, it would be the best day of my life. It would make everything I've been through worth it." Her best friend, Emma, listened to her dream over and over. Emma had known Clara since they were kids. They had spent countless afternoons singing along to Taylor's songs and talking about how amazing it would be to see her in person. Emma couldn't stand the thought of Clara's dream slipping away. She knew she had to do something to help her best friend. That's when Emma came up with a plan. "We're going to get Taylor to meet you, Clara," she said with determination. Clara's eyes lit up, though she didn't want to get her hopes too high. "How? She's so famous. She doesn't even know I exist." Emma smiled. "We'll make sure she does." Emma started a social media campaign called Chuck Taylor Swift for Clara. She shared Clara's story with the world, asking people to help make her dream come true. The posts included pictures of Clara, her battle with cancer, and her deep love for Taylor Swift. Emma described how Taylor's music had been a lifeline for Clara during her toughest days. At first, the campaign only reached a few friends and neighbors, but soon it started to grow. People from all over Willowbrook shared Clara's story. They tagged Taylor Swift and her team, hoping to get their attention. Local news stations picked up the story, and soon the campaign was spreading across the state. Clara's parents watched in awe as the support poured in. Strangers sent messages of love and encouragement, sharing how Taylor's music had also touched their lives. Clara couldn't believe it. "This is amazing," she whispered to Emma one day. "I can't believe so many people care." Emma smiled. "They care because you're amazing, Clara. And we're not stopping until Taylor knows it too." Despite the growing support, Clara's health was getting worse. She spent most of her days in bed, too weak to move. The pain in her body was constant, but she tried to stay hopeful. Every time Emma visited, she'd bring updates on the campaign. "We're getting closer, Clara. I can feel it." Clara held onto those words like a lifeline. She closed her eyes and imagined what it would be like to meet Taylor Swift. She pictured Taylor walking into her room, smiling and singing one of her favorite songs. That dream kept her going, even as her body grew weaker. Little did Clara and Emma know, their campaign had reached someone very important. Taylor Swift herself had seen the hashtag and read Clara's story. Taylor was deeply moved by the young girl's courage and love for her music. She decided that she would do everything she could to make Clara's dream come true. Taylor Swift sat in her cozy Nashville home, scrolling through social media late one evening. Her schedule was packed, with upcoming concerts, interviews, and meetings, but something about Clara's story stopped her in her tracks. She read through the posts tagged with "Friend Taylor Swift for Clara," each one filled with photos, videos, and heartfelt messages. Taylor was no stranger to fan stories, but this one struck her deeply. Here was a brave young girl, fighting for her life, and somehow still finding joy in her music. Taylor knew she had to act. She immediately called her team, explaining the situation. "We need to make this happen," she said firmly. "But I don't want this to be about the cameras or the headlines. This is about Clara." Her team worked quickly to arrange a private visit. They contacted Clara's family to confirm the details and ensure that Taylor's surprise would be a moment of pure joy. Clara's parents were overwhelmed when they received the call. They could hardly believe what they were hearing. Taylor Swift was coming to their home to meet their daughter. They decided to keep the news a secret from Clara. Her health had been worsening, and they wanted the visit to be a true surprise. Emma was bursting with excitement but promised not to spoil the moment. She kept Clara entertained with updates on the campaign, knowing that something extraordinary was about to happen. The morning of the visit was like any other. Clara lay in bed, her body weak but her mind still sharp. She stared at the ceiling, imagining what it would be like to meet Taylor Swift. She didn't know that her dream was about to come true. Just after lunch, there was a gentle knock on the front door. Clara's dad opened it and froze in shock. Standing there was Taylor Swift, dressed simply in jeans and a cozy sweater, her guitar slung over her shoulder. She smiled warmly, her eyes filled with compassion. "Hi," Taylor said softly. "I'm here to see Clara." Clara's dad couldn't speak at first. Tears filled his eyes as he stepped aside to let Taylor in. He led her down the hall to Clara's room, his heart pounding with emotion. When Taylor stepped through the doorway, Clara looked up, confused at first. Then her eyes widened as she recognized the face she had seen on so many posters and album covers. "No way," Clara whispered, her voice weak but filled with awe. "Hi, Clara?" Taylor said, walking to her bedside. "It's so nice to finally meet you." Clara's eyes filled with tears, but a smile spread across her face. You're really here?" "I'm really here," Taylor said, pulling up a chair. She gently took Clara's hand. "I've been hearing all about you and how amazing you are. I couldn't wait to come see you." For the next hour, Clara and Taylor talked like old friends. Clara, who had been too weak to speak much in recent days, found a new energy in Taylor's presence. She asked about the stories behind her favorite songs and shared how much Taylor's music had meant to her during her fight. Taylor listened intently, her heart breaking and swelling with pride all at once. "You've been so strong, Clara," Taylor said. "I'm in awe of you." Clara beamed. "Your songs helped me, Taylor. Whenever I felt like giving up, I'd listen to Shake It Off, and it made me feel like I could keep going." Taylor smiled and reached for her guitar. "Well, how about we sing it together now?" Clara's face lit up with excitement. Taylor began strumming the familiar chords, and together they sang Shake It Off. Clara's voice was faint, but the joy in her eyes was undeniable. Her parents and Emma stood in the doorway, tears streaming down their faces as they watched the moment unfold. After the song, Taylor stayed a while longer, sharing stories from her tours and asking Clara about her own life. She signed Clara's favorite album and left her a handwritten note filled with words of encouragement. Before she left, Taylor hugged Clara tightly. "You're an inspiration," she whispered. "Thank you for letting me be a part of your story." Clara smiled through her tears. "Thank you for being my hero." As Taylor walked out of the house, she turned back for one last look. The memory of Clara's smile would stay with her forever. That evening, Clara was more at peace than she had been in months. She held onto the signed album and note as if they were treasures. "This was the best day of my life," she told her parents and Emma. "I can't believe it actually happened." Though her body was weak, her spirit was stronger than ever. Clara had lived her dream, and the joy of that moment carried her through the following days. Her family stayed close, cherishing every second with her. They knew the end was near, but they were comforted, knowing that Clara had experienced something truly magical. Clara passed away a few days later, surrounded by her loved ones. Though their hearts were heavy with grief, her family and friends found comfort in knowing that her final days were filled with joy. She had met her hero, and that moment had brought her peace. At Clara's funeral, Emma spoke about her best friend's incredible journey. "Clara taught us to believe in dreams," she said. "Even when things seem impossible, if you hold on to hope, magic can happen." The story of Clara's meeting with Taylor Swift spread far and wide. It touched the hearts of people around the world, reminding them of the power of kindness, hope, and connection. After Clara's passing, her family and friends worked hard to keep her memory alive. Clara had always been a bright light in their lives, and they wanted to share her story with others who might need a little light in their own darkness. Her meeting with Taylor Swift became a symbol of hope, not just for Clara, but for anyone who had ever dared to dream big. The people of Willowbrook came together to honor Clara's life. The small town, where everyone knew everyone, was still buzzing with the story of Taylor Swift's visit. Clara's parents decided to channel their grief into something meaningful. They started the Clara Morgan Foundation, an organization dedicated to helping children with terminal illnesses achieve their dreams. Clara showed us how powerful dreams can be, her mom said at the foundation's launch event. We want to make sure that other children, no matter how sick they are, get a chance to feel the same kind of joy Clara felt. The foundation quickly gained support. Clara's story, paired with Taylor Swift's heartfelt act of kindness, inspired people far beyond Willowbrook. Donations poured in, and volunteers lined up to help. Local businesses held fundraisers, and schools organized events to spread the foundation's message. Even people who had never met Clara felt connected to her story. One day, Clara's best friend Emma was scrolling through social media when she saw a message from a family in another state. Their daughter, Mia, was battling a rare illness, and her biggest dream was to meet her favorite author. "We saw what you did for Clara," the message read. "We're wondering if you could help us do the same for Mia." Emma brought the message to Clara's parents, and they agreed to take on the Voyage Challenge. With the help of the foundation's growing network, they launched a campaign to make Mia's dream come true. Just like Clara's campaign, it spread quickly. Soon, Mia got to meet her hero, and her family thanked the Clara Morgan Foundation for giving their daughter an unforgettable moment of happiness. Stories like Mia's became more and more common as the foundation grew. Each time a child's dream came true, Clara's family felt a sense of pride and peace. They knew that Clara's legacy was helping others in their darkest hours, just as Taylor Swift's visit had brought comfort to Clara. Meanwhile, Taylor herself remained quietly involved. Though she rarely spoke publicly about her visit with Clara, she supported the foundation behind the scenes. She donated generously, and at one of her concerts, she dedicated a song to Clara and all the children who had been touched by her story. "This one is for the dreamers," Taylor said to the crowd before singing "The Best Day," her voice thick with emotion. "For those who remind us to hold on to hope, no matter what." In Willowbrook, Clara's family and friends worked tirelessly to keep her memory alive in other ways, too. They organized an annual event called Clara's Day, where people from all over gathered to celebrate her life. There were music performances, games, and speeches about the importance of kindness and following your dreams. Taylor Swift even sent a video message one year thanking everyone for continuing Clara's mission. "Clara inspired me, just like she inspired so many of you," Taylor said in the video. "Her courage and love will always be a part of my heart." As the years passed, Clara's story continued to touch lives. Her foundation became a beacon of hope for families facing the unthinkable. Children who had once felt invisible now had a chance to live their dreams, even if only for a moment. Clara's parents often said that their daughter had taught them the most important lesson of all, that even in the hardest times, there is always room for love and joy. Emma, now grown, carried Clara's memory with her everywhere. She became an advocate for children with terminal illnesses, traveling across the country to share Clara's story. "Clara taught me to believe in magic," she said during one speech. "She showed me that dreams can come true, even when the odds seem impossible." One day, a package arrived at Clara's family home. Inside was a framed photograph of Taylor Swift sitting by Clara's bedside, both of them smiling. There was also a handwritten note from Taylor. "Dear Clara's family, Clara changed my life in the short time I knew her. She reminded me why I write music and why it's so important to connect with others. Thank you for sharing her with me. Her light will never fade. With love, Taylor. Clara's parents hung the photo in their living room, where it became a centerpiece of their home. It was more than just a picture. It was a reminder of everything Clara had stood for: courage, hope, and the power of dreams. The Clara Morgan Foundation continued to grow, touching thousands of lives across the country. Every time a child's wish was granted, Clara's parents felt a bittersweet mix of sadness and pride. They missed their daughter every day, but they knew she would have been overjoyed to see the impact her story had made. In the end, Clara's life was a testament to the idea that even in the face of heartbreak, there is always a reason to hope. She had believed in magic, and in her own way, she had created it, not just for herself, but for everyone her story touched. Her favorite Taylor Swift lyric, "Hold on to the memories, they will hold on to you," became the foundation's motto, reminding everyone that Clara's spirit would live on forever. And it did. But speaking of unforgettable moments, what happens when a woman refuses to let Hollywood legend Denzel Washington board first class? You won't believe the powerful words he shared that left everyone stunned. This shocking story is something you can't miss. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now to find out what Denzel said and why this moment became one of the most talked about encounters in recent memory. Don't wait. Watch it now.